Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Joliet?
Here.
Lukes is on her way. Nelson?
Here.
Taylor is on her way, and Hoffman is absent with notice. Spiz?
Present.
Erickson Galt is also on her way, and Johnson. We do not have a quorum yet.
Duly noted. Is it disrespectful to do the pledge right now too? All right, let's do the pledge allegiance. And I'll kick it off today. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, everyone. And I can't do any of that. Can I do public comment right now? Maybe? Is there anyone from the public wishing to address us?
Decision, you can do it.
All right, well, we're doing public comment right now. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on anything on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on. Let's jump right on into presentations then, if everyone's all right with that. We've got the Rochester Hills Public Library, my biffles from back home. Hello. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, dang, that's quorum. Look at that. With your coming in, I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes dated January 9, 2024.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Spiz, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. That passes. Thank you very much. I would also entertain a motion to approve today's agenda. Moved by Commissioner Joliet, seconded by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, nay. That is also approved. Thank you very much. I'm still gonna skip ahead just because we're all like keyed up and ready to go, if that's all right, everyone. Come on up.
Great. Where would you prefer us to stand?
Oh, the head of the table would be
Okay.
great.
And there's a little clicker there
I
to
see.
advance the slides.
Excellent, thank you. Well, thank you so much for having us today. I know the option was given for us to do this via Zoom. I'm slightly regretting that we didn't choose that option today. But because this is our first time convening with you under our new contract, we thought it would be important for us to meet you in person and just personally say thank you. Thank you to the county for subsidizing this program that we think is integral to our most vulnerable patrons, those individuals who are blind or living with print disabilities in some way, shape, or form. I'm Julianne Morian. I'm the library director at the Rochester Hills Public Library. And with me today is Alice Cruz. She is what we call our OTBS librarian, or Oakland Talking Book Service librarian, that is served out of the Rochester Hills Public Library. So we're going to walk you through the annual report of what we accomplished in 2023, and then we'll be open for any questions or feedback that you might have about future directions for the service. So just to do a quick level set, because we haven't had FaceTime with everyone, I know you're familiar with the program, but it's always helpful to just get that overview. It's a free program housed at the Rochester Hills Public Library, but of course serving anyone eligible in the county of Oakland. It moved to the library, our library, in January of 2013. It saved Oakland County money. This was part of dissolving the county-wide library services that you used to offer. It allowed us to expand hours and expand engagement for our patrons. Our OTBS, so again, forgive me if I drop into using acronyms, is considered an advisory and outreach center, so an AOC. It provides personalized service for Oakland County residents. It's one of 11 across the state of Michigan. So there's all these different sort of cooperatives and pockets of AOCs across the state. We report to Oakland County most directly, but also to the Braille and Talking Book Library at the state level, and the National Library Service for the Blind and Print Disabled, which is part of the Library of Congress at the federal level. So we have a variety of reporting agencies that we have to keep abreast of our operations. So how do people use the OTBS? The primary service is delivered through talking digital books, our audiobooks. They're either delivered on a cartridge via US mail for use with an NLS digital talking book player, or they're downloaded directly by patrons for use on their own personal devices using something called BARD, which stands for the Braille and Audio Reading Download. Books are contained on these USB cartridges that can hold 1 to 30 books, depending on the length. The cartridges can be returned directly to OTBS or mailed back to Lansing, which is where the Braille and Talking Book Library is located, using USPS Free Matter for the Blind. Patrons can instantly download books from BARD to their personal devices. There's no waiting times or hold lists when they do it via BARD. This is a picture from our library where you have one of 4 stations that are specifically designed to be accessible. So we have large print and descriptive videos by mail. We have Braille books by mail or downloaded on those BARD or cartridges. We have audio and Braille magazines to access, Newsline audio news services. We have low vision aids such as magnifiers, video magnifiers. We have Optelec enlarging and document reading machines, and we have computers with screen readers. Programs and training include things like book clubs. We have 2 monthly book discussions offered via phone. We have low vision discussions offered monthly via phone. We have group programs designed specifically for our OTBS patrons. They include things like designing Braille jewelry or self-defense workshop or clay crafting and origami. We also offer one-on-one training with adaptive technology, screen readers, BARD, iPhone voiceover, with an assistive tech assistant. And so I'm gonna hand it over to Alice, who's gonna talk about our points of pride in 2023.
So I'll just briefly go over some of the highlights from this past year. In May, this is a photo, we invited Commissioner Spiz and Commissioner Johnson to tour our space at the Rochester Hills Public Library. Julianne was present as well as several members of our Board of Trustees, myself and Marcia Katona, who is our Adaptive Technologies Assistant, as well as 2 of our patrons who were able to talk a little bit about how OTBS affects their day-to-day life. I was particularly proud this year. We registered 231 new patrons to OTBS. As you can see, since 2020, the number of new patrons has steadily increased per year. At the end of the year, we did have 961 active patrons.
We have a question.
I was gonna ask a question. Sorry to interrupt you, but
Sure.
what do you attribute to your continued increase?
So I focused a lot this year on getting out into the community. That will be one of my slides. I do a lot of work with low vision groups across the community and at senior expos and going out and talking to nursing homes. That will be one of my next slides.
Awesome.
One thing we are focusing on is really introducing people to BARD, which is our downloadable app. Last year, we had 117 active users as compared to 95 the year before. We signed up 56 new people to use BARD as opposed to 31 the year before. Our total downloads for e-audiobooks, e-Braille, e-magazines was 7,800 items, up from 5,760. Some of the things we did to get the word out to increase our new patron base. I attended senior health expos in Orion Township, Troy, Farmington, and Rochester. There are several active low vision groups across the county that I try to get out to speak to all of them at least once a year to let them know about our services. We were also invited to speak in the Heritage in the Hills neighborhood in Auburn Hills, where we talked to 60 people just from that neighborhood alone. A couple of interesting things we did. Farmington Community Library hosted a food truck series this summer, and they invited us to speak at one of those. And we were found by a First Lego League team in Troy. Some elementary school students that were working on a Braille app visited us to learn about what we do for the low vision community. Another one of our focuses this year was to really strengthen our partnership with public libraries in Oakland County, because they can help us get the word out across the county. To that end, we let them know about the renewal of our contract. We reached out, we designed a new brochure that we shared with all of our public library partners. Our marketing team did some research and found that plain paper as opposed to glossy paper was best for the community that we're trying to reach. So we did share in a packet to every public library across the county. We shared our new brochure as well as some promotional stickers that they can include in large print books. And then we were also invited to speak at staff meetings at several libraries across the county. I attended staff meetings in Birmingham, Royal Oak, Brandon Township, Orion Township, Highland Township, and Independence Township. And next month I will be going out to Clawson to speak not only to their staff but to the public to spread the word about our program. Julian did mention briefly our programming. Last year we offered 23 virtual book clubs with 136 attendees. We had 6 monthly low vision discussion clubs, just talking about different topics of interest to the low vision community. We also presented a workshop on self-defense for people with low vision and had our 3rd annual potluck holiday luncheon, which you can see pictured here. Just some statistics about how many people we reached. We answered just over 1,700 phone calls and 500 emails, and were visited in person by 162 patrons. Our total audiobook circulation was just under 73,000, just under 400 large print books, and 150 audio described DVDs. And this is just a snapshot of our budget. We did come under our budget. I believe Julian included the specific details. You should have that in your packet. Some things that are coming up in the future this year, we are hoping to partner with Leader Dog for the Blind to present a low vision expo in the fall featuring speakers and vendors of interest to the low vision community. We did have this plan for April 2020, and for obvious reasons that didn't happen. So we're hoping to get that up and running again. We are one of the only network libraries of the National Library Service for the Blind that offers a completely online application, and NLS noticed that. And we met with staff members from the Library of Congress over Zoom, Julian and myself. We are expanding our accessible technology collection. So we have items that people can borrow. We have video magnifiers. We also just added 2 Echo Show devices that have a really nice set of accessibility features for people with low vision that we can lend out to our patrons. And we also collect CCTV magnifying units, which is a device that typically runs between $3,000 and $5,000 that people can use to magnify their documents. And we sort of serve as a liaison. We collect gently used items and then are able to donate them to members of the community. New technology, a new device that we had available via NLS to our patrons this year is a refreshable Braille device. This will actually allow somebody to read an entire Braille book. These are the Braille cells here. These are available to our patrons. Our Bard is being upgraded so that patrons can listen to their books directly onto a PC, in addition to the phones and tablets. This is our talking book player. A new model should be coming out soon that will allow people to download the books directly to the machine if they don't want to download them to their phone or tablet. And a new skill is being introduced for the Amazon Echo and other smart speakers, where people will be able to listen to their books on those smart speakers. That's actually a pilot program that I participated in testing. So our goals for this year is to continue increasing the usage of Bard. We hope to increase our number of new Bard users by 10%. We're hoping to increase our visibility in the county, including the Low Vision Expo. And we're hoping to reach out to new library directors in Oakland County by presenting them with information about OTBS.
So we're at the point where we would love to answer any questions that you might have, or even hear feedback from any new directions that you'd like to see us pursue. If anything, I'll echo what Alice said. The message that we received from commissioners last year was go hard on marketing and education, and also please continue to do a good job of introducing new technology to your patron base. And so I hope Alice has done a good job of demonstrating how we really took that feedback to heart, and we poured a lot of energy and resources into that this last year.
Commissioner Loops?
I think it's a well-needed service. Thank you very much. So tell me more about how the Echo Show works.
So the Echo Show is sort of like the Amazon Echo speakers, where it's voice activated, where you can ask it questions, but the Echo Show is equipped with a screen, and it has several features for accessibility, including a product identification. So any product basically that's in Amazon's database, which is thousands, if probably not millions, you can simply hold up to the screen and it will identify it. So if somebody needs to take a can out of their pantry and they want to know what they're looking at it, they can just hold it up to the show and say, Alexa, what's in my hand? It also has a built-in screen reader, so anything that they pull up on the screen will be read entirely. It has video call capabilities, so instead of somebody who might not want to do a video call on the small screen on their phone, it has built-in video call.
That's amazing. Thank you.
This is amazing. I did not know it could do that.
Yeah, the product identification, I've spent a lot of time playing around with it. It's amazing. You don't even have to have the barcode. It just, I mean, you can hold a can of beans up sideways and it will tell you the brand and the beans. And if you want to know more about it, it will tell you more.
Yeah, I mean, that's great for accessibility. I don't love that it can probably do that without me wanting it to. Commissioners.
thank you for coming out. It was great when I toured the facility. So if anybody hasn't had an opportunity to tour the library, I highly recommend you do it, especially this area, because there's a lot of great things. I mean, the little gadgets there are pretty cool, but there's other stuff within the facility that would be good for everybody to get a good understanding of so we can pass the word. Thank you again for coming out.
Commissioner Nelson.
Thank you. Quick question. I know that you kind of capitalized already with really going hard on the marketing, right, and advertising the services. Has there been any reach out to our senior centers?
Yeah, so I keep in touch with all of our senior centers regularly. They receive our newsletters. I call them regularly. A lot of the senior centers are associated with the low vision group, so that's how I keep in touch with them.
Okay. Lastly, when it comes to the assistive technology software aspect, has Dragon been used in the past? Dragon software, it's assistive technology device for low vision individuals that helps do like a lot of dictation to speech and things like that, but also assists greatly in maneuvering around utilizing technology computers.
Is it a handheld device that someone
I'm not
would use?
familiar with
Software?
Dragon.
No, it's a software.
Oh, I think Dragon could be the more, the free-based one versus JAWS perhaps, where we tend to focus on JAWS as our primary software that we teach our screen.
Yeah, JAWS is the screen reader that's primarily used by our adaptive tech. I'm not familiar with Dragon, which is surprising to me because I'm pretty familiar with most of the low vision, and that one isn't
Okay,
ringing a bell with me. So.
thank you.
We can certainly follow up on that though and get an answer.
Is that it? No? Anything? I'll just say thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having us.
It's always a joy for me to be able to show off our HPL and yeah, truly, everyone come. More than it being a great library, it's probably my favorite third place in the Rochester area, so.
Thank you for being library supporters, and we will look forward to inviting more commissioners to some of the events over the coming year, and we, we look forward to hosting you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right. Oh, sure. I would entertain a motion to receive and file. Moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Joliet. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. That's filed. Thank you very much. We're going to back up a little bit to communications then. We have 2 communications today. The first one is a personal appeal board update, 2023. I'll give everyone just a few seconds to look at that because looking at our communications is really important.
I have questions on it.
Oh, okay. All right, so actually, I'll entertain a motion to receive and file, but then we
So
won't.
moved.
Okay, cool. Question.
Just,
Oh, I need a second, I'm so sorry. Commissioner Liz, it's been a snowy morning. Commissioner Spitz.
yeah, since we have HR, just some clarification for me because it kind of had me question the dates. So
Yeah, I used that.
for the appeal board, it says 2023, but then at the end it says as of January 9th, 2024. So I'm a little confused, is it calendar year 23, so it's January 1 all the way through December 31st of 2023, or is it fiscal year?
It's calendar year.
Okay, so January 9th is just
When we pull the data.
when you pull the data,
Yeah.
okay. All right, my second question is on the other one.
Can you hold for just a
Yes.
second? Any other questions on the first one? All right, could we prompt the vote on receiving and filing communication 7A? Yeah.
Sorry, difficult.
Five yeas, 0 nays. Oh, Johnson,
Yes.
sorry.
Oh, that's fine. I was surprised.
Snowy morning,
I was like,
it's in
that's
register.
interesting. All right, I would entertain a motion to receive and file communication 7B, moved by Commissioner Spitz, seconded by Commissioner Erickson Galt. Go ahead, Commissioner Spitz.
Similar question. This one says calendar year 2022.
That would, it's probably a typo on my part.
Just wanted to make sure because that
It
seems like
was
a
for
long
calendar
time
year
ago.
2023.
Do we amend that now or how do we do?
Sure, we can. Do you move to make that amendment? A typo.
For the last, replace 2022 with 2023.
Right, and just have one paragraph. So moved, second by Commissioner Nelson. All those in favor of adopting the amendment, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Consider it adopted. Motion on the table is to receive and file item 7. Oh, I'm
Sure.
sorry, yes, go ahead.
Question, maybe it's a day late and dollar short, but it's always good to have a little refresher. When we think about these retired individuals coming back for part-time work, what drives that decision to bring an employee back as a contractor or part-time after they've retired?
It's usually a matter of retaining that institutional knowledge of that employee.
Is there training that takes place? Just given the institutional knowledge aspect, I think is huge, especially when we take a look at our age of the workforce, right?
Mhm.
Is there a specific process that is put in place to share that institutional knowledge so that individual may not necessarily be needed long-term? I get that these are contracts, hopefully short-term,
Right.
but is there any HR process put in place to assist in that sharing and
So-
mentoring?
Each department would be responsible for ensuring the training of their own staff.
See, thank you.
Any additional questions, Commissioner?
So Commissioner Nelson brings up a good point that from those who've served on this board a little bit longer, we got ourselves a little bit in a pickle because people had commitments of being hired before they actually retired, or they retired on Friday, showed up on Monday. And that is a big no-no, particularly from an IRS perspective as it relates to pensions and other types of stuff. And so I assume with all these that there's been a bona fide separation. Everyone who retired, there was no promise of a job to come back to. And a period of time, and I mean, the IRS deems 90 days as an appropriate separation before someone is able to come back. And I think, per our county rules, that any person who does come back needs approval of the board to be hired
For contracts.
for contracts. Correct, I'm sorry, for contracting. And so the memo, none of these are in a contractual capacity. All these are within budgets, and so I just wanted to underscore that, and it was a $20 million lesson, so.
I learned something.
Yes, bona fide separation, it's world renowned.
Any other comments, questions? Motion on the table then is to receive and file.
It's world renowned. Well, yeah,
Okay,
they'll
good.
live in other countries, I'm sure.
Lubes?
Yes.
Awesome. That item passes. Thank you all very much. Moving on then to our regular agenda. Guys, we're making great time considering we started 15 minutes late. I would entertain a motion to forward to the board, I believe, is this one. Agenda item 9A, which is a resolution in support of Senate Bills 549 to 551 and House Bills 5088 to 5090 to create a low-income water residential affordability program and the Water Shutoff Protection Act. Moved by Commissioner Erickson Gold, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. I know we've got sponsor Commissioner Cavell online. And then we've also got the Water Resource Commissioners team. You guys want to pop to the front of the table? You're welcome to do that as well. Commissioner Cavell, welcome.
Good morning. Hi, everybody. Thanks, Commissioner Nash and everyone else for showing up. Okay, so This resolution is in support, as was said, for a bunch of state bills. And just to kind of frame this and then hand it over to Commissioner Nash, Kelsey, and Sarah to explain in more depth or answer your questions, the goal of these bills is to address the fundamental problem of, first, in Oakland County, and tell me where I get these stats wrong, you guys, there, during COVID, were 13,000 households at risk for water-based foreclosure due to an inability or lack of payment. That also is emblematic of just a larger increase that nationwide, since 1980, water bills have gone up by 188%, while wages for most families has stayed relatively flat comparatively, and so have other essential goods and costs of things, except for healthcare, which has gone up more than water utilities. But saying that to say that water utilities have gone up by almost 200% since 1980, while people's pay has not gone up that much. And then also what this leads to is uncollected revenue by places like WRC, and then that leads to deferred maintenance, which makes everything cost more. So to address that problem, there's all these bills that are up in Lansing to try and be voted on. I would like your support in voting on all of them. And Jim, take it away.
Well, thank you, Commissioner. Yeah, we've been working on this for a significant amount of time. This is most of my team that's been working on this. Damar Bias is our coordinator for this effort. Once we've already been starting this, so he's been working on this for a while now. Kelsey is, you know Kelsey and Sarah, you've met them before, most of you, some of you haven't. So Kelsey is my one of my managers and my chief legal officer, and Sarah works for her. She's another attorney, and she's been working on this from the very beginning, actually when she first came here too. So it really means a lot to us. When we recognized early on during the pandemic, while the shutoff moratorium was already going, that it was already piling up. People were not catching up. We had a significant issue. So we recognized that the old way of doing things just doesn't work anymore. We've got to go past the old industry standards and make it so we are helping folks every step of the way if they're in trouble with their bills. So we want them to first of all, we want to catch them before they have a big arrearage, before they've collected a whole bunch of back pay. So we can not have that expense that we have to make up for them. So this is a much more open and much more effective system than it was just 2 years ago. When the Great Lakes Water Authority created the RAP program, Water Residential Assistance Program, they put 0.5% of the total budgets receivable into that. So this year it's $4.2 million that serves a little over 4 million people. So it's barely $1 a person a year to run this as it is now. And Macomb County is basically within the next couple of months is going to be at their maximum. The most families they can serve is going to be about 230 families out of 800,000 population. So it's a very tiny little amount that they can save. This will allow it to be a much more strong program that'll be able to reach way more folks. And again, everything that we're doing is going to help families keep that water on, make sure that they're not spending way more than they should on their water bills. And the systems that depend on those rates have to make sure that they have a flow of income coming in that covers what they need to do. What happens is when a community has $5, $6, $9 million that they're carrying from 1 year to the next in debt, that's projects they didn't do. That's rates they're going to have to raise that next year just to come up with enough money to do what they should have done the year before. So this is going to be going to affect systems all across the state. And one of the things that we recognize is small systems have the hardest time. If you've got 2,000 or 3,000, if you've got 1,000 customers and you have $1 million project you have to do, that's $1,000 for every one of those customers is going to have to pay for that project. We are going to have projects around lead and copper rule. We're going to be replacing lead lines very fast in the next 10 years. The old infrastructure that we're needing to replace, all that still needs to be replaced. If we're not getting the funding we need from the rates, we're going to be in real trouble. So I'm going to let Kelsey and Sarah talk about the actual legislation and what's going on with that. I just want to open it up. And these guys are the ones who've been working at it over 2 years now. So Go ahead, please.
Go ahead, Sarah.
Yeah. Well, thank you, everyone. Again, my name's Sarah Rubino, and I'm one of the attorneys at the WRC. And when I started with the WRC about 3 years ago, my first project was an affordability and planning grant. So we received about $500,000 from the state of Michigan to study the problem of water affordability here in Oakland County with two of our most significantly overburdened communities, and that was the city of Pontiac and Royal Oak Township. So in order to look at the issue here, we wanted to also study, what solutions there could be. So we worked with utilities across the country. We worked with both legal. We worked with experts and consultants on a national and local level. So we really studied this problem a great deal. We published a water affordability report that found, again, that utilities can't do this alone, which means that utilities cannot increase rates for some customers in order to create a low-income program for other customers. It's not feasible and it's not equitable because some communities can do it, other communities couldn't do it. So we really studied this issue, and our report concluded you needed to have a statewide plan. And luckily, there was a model that we could use, and that is the Michigan Energy Assistance Program, which is a low-income energy assistance program that has been in place for over 10 years. It was passed with bipartisan support under a Republican governor, and that program is the model for the legislation and the funding mechanism that this statewide legislation will use. So again, we're lucky enough to have the opportunity to work with Senator Chang and a large, diverse stakeholder group to help develop these bills. As Commissioner Nash mentioned, this is really a two-sided problem. You have utilities that are struggling to afford an essential need, but then you also have utilities who are struggling to afford the cost to properly maintain and operate their systems. So it's a delicate balance because utilities have to recover enough revenue to safely operate and maintain these systems, but they also know that they have to keep rates at an amount that everybody can afford. And what happens is when rates are kept artificially low so that they are, they believe that customers can afford them, then that means that there are system needs that might go unmet or deferred, and then you're running into problems again. So this affordability bill package is designed to take a comprehensive approach to to address this problem. So there's the water affordability plan, which has basically three buckets of benefits that a low-income household could receive. That would be an income-based bill. It would also include water arrearages, so they could have their water arrearage debt erased, and then also plumbing repairs. Because we recognize if you have a affordable monthly bill, but you have a leak that keeps going, you're still gonna have an affordability problem. So we really need to address all three of these prongs. So that's the affordability plan bill. Then there's a companion bill that is the funding mechanism that would include a $2 per month per meter charge. That would be a state mandated fee that would be collected through utilities and then administered by local community action agencies or United Way agencies that are already administering the MEEP program. So again, this would be able to kind of streamline the delivery method and be able to make it easier for utilities, for community action agencies, and for customers to receive this benefit. In addition to those two bills, there's also a Water Shutoff Protection Act, and this makes sure that if customers are unable to afford their water bills and don't pay, that there are certain notice requirements provided to those households before a shutoff can occur. So utilities can still shut off in the event of an emergency or for maintenance, but this makes sure if somebody's gonna have or at risk of having services shut off due to inability to pay, that there's significant outreach to those customers to make sure that they are aware of the program and to try and get them enrolled in the program, because no utility wants to shut off services, and we know the detrimental effect that can have on our community. Happy to answer any specific questions about the bills. And again, we've got a ton of resources, so please visit our website. We'll be sure to send that out to everybody. We've got a lot of information too if you wanna need anything else after this.
I'll just thank
And before questions go, real quick, I just want to give a shout out to Damar, who is very integral. I didn't see him before he was mentioned, so shout out to him for being very integral in the water affordability program, just as someone who is involved with that. And all the WRC people, they helped, as was mentioned by Commissioner Nash and Sarah, they helped design the whole model that these bills are based on.
Thank you very much. I just want to thank you all for being here and for being willing to explain in such depth because I don't understand the nitty gritty and in the weeds as much as you do. So thank you. I think this is my second or third time hearing it, and I'm beginning to get it a little bit better. So thank you very much for that. I have one question, and I know I saw Commissioner Spiz's hand in the queue. This resolution only talks about 3 bills in each chamber. It's a 6-bill package, correct? I'm just wondering why only the 3 bills are in our resolution.
Certainly. So the 3 bills that are in the resolution are really, the primary bills in this package that are tie-barred as well.
Yeah.
The other bills that were not included is the landlord tenant submetering bill. We can tell you just from experience that that is going significant discussions regarding substitute bills, and there are some issues that are trying to be addressed to make that appropriate to fit into this bill package. And then there are also 2 other bills that were proposed that were amendments to the penal code so that the criminal charges for somebody who turns back on water because they're not shut off would be reduced from a felony to a civil infraction. So again, those are penal code amendments. So included in this resolution, again, are the nuts and bolts, the 3 primary bills that would create the plan, fund the plan, and then include those shut-off protections.
Got it. Thank you very much. Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. For the record, I believe your counterpart in Macomb County doesn't support this.
Yes.
Because you brought up Macomb County, that's the only reason I mentioned that. But from my understanding, is I'm trying to get my head around it, just like probably many of us are, is how is this different from RAP? What are the differences in, second part of that question, if this goes into place, does RAP go away?
I can speak to that a little bit. A lot of communities have those questions. So this legislation should allow us to continue to use RAP or use the exact same model that it's already set up as. 'Cause RAP is now providing an income-based bill, whereas a couple of years ago it was giving just a $25 credit, and we've seen the great success with getting the income-based bill for the customers. And so when we were drafting and working with Senator Chang.
Can you explain what RAP is?
Sure, yep, it's the Water Residential Assistance Program offered by Great Lakes Water Authority. So it, for all of our public water supply and sewer customers that provide water, sanitary treatment through Great Lakes Water Authority, they have the ability to apply for an income-based water monthly bill, also receive arrearage assistance and plumbing repairs through this program that's already set up, as Commissioner Nash mentioned, through a 0.5% of Great Lakes Water Authority's water rate revenue. And so when we were working with the Senators Work Group, we were careful to make sure that RAP could satisfy this program. So we essentially don't have to recreate the wheel in Oakland County or for any GLEWA member area. Because the legislation requires an income-based bill, RAP already provides that. The difference with RAP is that it's a 2-year program. So once someone is receiving a monthly bill that they can afford for 2 years, they're done. And so there's plenty of people, hundreds of people in the county who've already gotten that 2-year worth of benefit, but their income hasn't changed and their water bill hasn't changed. And so now they're back to not being able to afford to pay their water bill. So this program would have that sustainable funding source to where we could extend RAP indefinitely as the need exists. So that's a little bit of, and then what would happen to RAP? So we obviously don't want to duplicate efforts. So RAP was created through a bankruptcy court order when Great Lakes Water Authority was formed. And so it can be flexible. So that funding still needs to be set aside for assistance purposes, but we could use that, for example, just as arrearage assistance and plumbing repair for Oakland County residents. And then the state funding source could take care of all of our monthly bills. So you get the extra benefit in the county that you also have RAP available, that we can help a lot more of our customers pay off the, debt that they kind of got behind on, or address plumbing repairs that are more, maybe at a more expensive cost. I know Senator Chang is also looking at potentially modifying the legislation to reduce the amount that whoever pays into RAP now, so in the Gliwa service territory, reduce that $2 fee by however much people pay into RAP, which, as Commissioner Nash said, is less than $1 a year.
Yep.
Is change. So it would be, something that we could figure out. So maybe in Oakland County, instead of paying $2, you pay $1.90, just to offset that, to make it fair, so to speak.
Okay, thank you. I have more, but I'll let everybody else go first. I have a lot more.
Anybody else? Commissioner Woodward. I would just say that Kelsey did an incredible job describing that. Our late executive, Brooks Patterson, sent me, I served on the committee that created the nuts and bolts of the very first RAP. And Kelsey is absolutely right. When we sat there and you had basically all the service providers that deal with vulnerable populations helping shape and like how's the best way to use these resources. And the conclusion from the jump was, this isn't enough money to fix the problem. This buys us time. This might help keep water on, because everything came back to, and as Jim, started talking about from the start, that each of these systems, it costs X amount of dollars to operate it. You bring in Y amount of dollars to pay for the water service, and if Y is not equal to X, there's not enough money to operate the system, yet alone maintain, build, improve, and all that type of stuff. So it's a math problem at this point. And so what RAP was intended to do is to help fill that gap, because when people couldn't afford their bill, wasn't paying their bill, there's this deficit in funding to operate it. So the goal was to help fix that. But even then, we know it's not enough to bridge that gap. And that's, I think this is why this legislation is. And so the ability for RAP to kind of fund a part of the objectives here and then have the other dollars fill the others to ensure that X equals Y. And it'd be nice to have a little bit of breathing room so that we can fix the sinkhole when it happens. But we literally are in situations in some areas around the state and the Gliwa system, there just is not enough money to maintain the system because everyone can't afford to pay the bills that are currently out there.
Thank you, Tom. Commissioner Juliet.
Thank you. Couple questions. The RAP program, has it not expanded to beyond the 2 years for income eligibility?
For seniors and disabled persons, if there's either of those folks in the household, then there is the RAPfinity, so that does provide long-term benefits.
Okay, so it does go more than 2 years. Okay, and then how much, it's my understanding that Oakland County has spent less than 50% of the RAP funds that they've accumulated since inception?
Yeah, Sarah has more data on that, but.
Yeah, so I can speak to that, and I do want to clarify too, with the RAPfinity program for elderly and disabled individuals, again, that's still funding dependent. So if there is not sufficient funding, then people could not continue to receive those benefits indefinitely. But with the RAP program, yes, there have been several modifications and changes to the program since its inception, because there was an understanding that the benefits were not reaching the community members that needed this program. So in October 2022 is when RAP made significant changes to the program. So as Kelsey had mentioned, it was just a $25 flat monthly fee, and they changed that to this income-based program. They've increased their efforts for community outreach and marketing the program, since it's really been a short period of time to see. But what we do know from the most recent RAP data is that there's been a significant improvement in enrollment of those use of RAP dollars in Oakland County and elsewhere. So for instance, Macomb County is one of the communities that hadn't traditionally used their funds, but they're on target to utilize all of their funding for the last fiscal year. Oakland County is still making strides, so we're not going to utilize it all. But what we do know is that doesn't mean that there's not a need out there. It means that there's problems in getting that funding and getting people enrolled and getting it to people who need it. Oh, go ahead.
And to go along with that, because of the available funds that was out there, so like OSA had a lot of funds that were available. So a lot of people chased those dollars, and so then now it's coming back to RAP because those dollars have been exhausted. So a lot of times, that's why the usage wasn't as high, because they went to these other agencies and were able to clear their arrearages. And now, because things haven't changed in their lives, they're back to a need. So now we're seeing an uptick in RAP because that's the only program truly available for them right now. And the one thing I do want to say, because I'll be on the receiving end of the phone calls and talking to them in person, this is not a zip code issue. I think that's where we get lost. A lot of people think this is a zip code issue, and it's not. A lot of our seniors are very prideful. You don't know how bad they're really struggling, trying to decide what bills to pay, and they won't speak up. They'll not get some medicine because they know they need water. So I'm getting all these phone calls, and I said, this program is really needed, and I hope we got the support because, like I said, I deal with the phone calls and talk to them in person, and it's almost heartbreaking to know, like, I can't give you an instant solution. So this bill would definitely do that and make a tremendous stride in their lives.
So how does this bill help reach residents versus the RAP bill being underutilized?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of the communication, as Sarah mentioned, has really picked up since RAP changed to income-based. And so, you know, we've seen a significant increase in application enrollment. And another thing that our affordability report concluded is people need a one-stop shop. So we've really worked with United Way for Southeastern Michigan and Oakland County, and they're doing a really great job. And so we would want to engage them further to use, you know, if this legislation passed for the statewide affordability project for Oakland County. And so now our folks are being able to call 211 or go through us and get rerouted to United Way to get assistance in many areas of their life. And so, you know, people are just becoming more and more aware of RAP because the benefits are better and actually making a difference in their lives. And so the state program, I think, would kind of just spin right off of that.
Right,
One last question. Oh, sorry. Who administers RAP right now for Oakland County?
It's United Way.
United Way does it, okay.
And they're a new partner as well. So as Damar had mentioned, we had originally worked with OLSHA, was the administrator for the program in Oakland County. And then GLIWA recently switched to United Way, who also administers MEAT in Oakland County. So they're already communicating with these households for energy assistance. Now they have water assistance added to that. So with a new service delivery partner, we've seen a great deal of success since that change. That's fairly recent.
Thank you.
Questions? Okay, Commissioner Smith, back to me. Couple questions. We talked about doing the math. If we do the math, how much more money is going to come in for Oakland County if these bills pass versus RAP? What's the dollar amount? And how much will stay here?
Yeah, so there's a part of the bill that sets aside 25% of the total fund that's going to the state for populations and communities 10,000 or less. So there's some communities in the county that would qualify for that. One of them is Rural Township, for example, that has a huge need. So that would, you know, you could probably assume that most people in Oakland Township who need assistance are going to get it. You could really assume anyone who needs it, this program's gonna be there for them. But what we don't know is because it is a statewide program, you know, however much the residents from Oakland County pay into the state treasury ultimately for this fund, we don't know if we'll get that exact amount back. It's gonna depend on the need and the enrollment and, you know, it'll definitely take time, obviously, to build trust in the program. But what we can say is just that if there is a resident in Oakland County who has the need, this program will be there for them. So I don't know if Sarah, you want to add any more to that?
No, I think that's it. With rough calculations, I believe it's 65 million that they're anticipating the program will generate. Statewide, correct. Mm-hmm. And then again, as Kelsey mentioned, there's a carve out for communities with population of 10,000 and less to ensure that, you know, the funding is equitably distributed.
Follow-up question. Have we reached out to our communities on this specifically? What do they feel about these bills? If I talk to everybody in my district, what would I expect them to tell me?
Yeah, so we have Water Affordability Coalition meetings that Damar leads quarterly, and so we've been mentioning these a lot lately. Our last meeting, we had people, expanded, it's in all of Oakland County electeds and supervisors, managers invited, and I think at our last meeting we had, pretty diverse group. We had Hazel Park, we had Clarkston, we had Oxford, we had just people kind of tuning in from all over. So I think people are starting to learn about it and digest it. And I think when people have accurate information, then they see that this can help their residents. There's definitely concerns. I talked to communities who are like, I'm not too sure about this. I need to know, Farmington Hills, I think, is on board, but they wanted me, I found out for them exactly how much is gonna get paid in from their residents, how, they had all the same questions that you had, Commissioner. So, I'm sure Oxford would have similar questions as well. And, happy to talk to any of them. And it seems like as we talk to more people, and they get more information, that they feel more confident in the direction.
I'm glad you brought that up. You mentioned who, if they have questions and they wanna talk to somebody at WRC, should I send them to you? Should I send?
These two folks
These two,
really.
okay. I can do that. Follow-up question is more relative to the bill, and I'm not sure you guys can answer this. I don't know if everybody's read them. My one real concern is $2 is, okay, $2 is not a lot of money, at least from my perspective. Some people it will be a lot of money, but my concern with the bill is after the $2 is set, it's open for the staff, not the legislature, to change that amount every year if they need to. So it's like an open book, is how I read it, if I read it correctly. So after the first year, if there's not enough money in this fund and they need to add, let's say they need to double it, they could just go in and double it. Is how I read it.
Yeah, there's actually a cap, so it can be increased, but the cap is $3.
$3 additional cap or $3?
$3, so it can't exceed $3.
So if they raise it, they can only go up to $3.
Correct.
Without going back to the legislature.
Correct.
Okay, thank you, I didn't see that.
And I'd like to point out that my understanding is the MEP, the energy side has been pretty steady. I don't think they've increased it more than maybe a little bit just over the last 10 years, so.
Yeah, they have a similar funding factor where
It's been quite effective for them, so I think, again, this is all the only folks who are gonna benefit from this are directly the ratepayers who are gonna get some relief on their bills, and the utilities who by law cannot siphon this money to anything but the utilities themselves. So there's basically a law guarantee that this is not gonna go anywhere beyond what you're doing in your water and sewer systems for your communities. So I mean, to me, this is just one of those things that a lot of communities need that backup. We mentioned earlier that, local communities can't do this themselves. Part of that is that the way it's set up in Michigan, if you look at your bill, generally speaking, unless you've gone to them and say, we want it in our name, it's to occupant. Because by law, the water and sewer bill belongs to the house, no matter who's living in it. If you're renting it, if you own it, it goes to the house. And if it's not paid, it's a lien on the house immediately. As part of the law. So we're trying to make sure that our systems are fair to the ratepayers and that we get the funding we need to do the true cost of service, like we mentioned. If you're not working on the true cost of service, eventually you'll just have a lot of repairs in the meantime. So if we need to make sure that we're operating these systems as best we can, and we need to make sure that the rates that we're setting out to the public are able to be paid and that we're not losing a bunch of folks. So that's the basis of what we're doing here.
I do have one additional question. I'm sorry, I just thought of it.
No.
And I don't know the answers, I'm hoping you know this. If a community is using their own community wells and not on GLEWA water, are they paying for RAP too? Or do they have to be on GLEWA?
No, yeah, they
So
have to
Oxford,
be,
Village of Oxford is not paying RAP right now.
Village of Oxford does pay RAP because, for sewer, because
For
it
sewer.
sends its sewer down for treatment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but not for water, just for sewer side.
Right.
Got it, thank you. Cool.
Chair, if I could frame this out, if there's no other questions.
There is one more question, yep.
In addition to talking with the elected officials, do you also speak with the Human Services Department at the local level as well as the water board? Because the water departments, because they get a lot of resident calls too, with nowhere to go for help.
Yeah.
So the Department of Health and Human Services was involved in the work group that Senator Chang convened. So they have been a participant in it, as well as the community action agencies that are administering RAP. So they've been able to contribute to that. The WRC services 22 water systems, and so we are in communication, with regarding the legislation and the existing programs.
Okay, and you do talk to the local
Yes.
water departments as well as human service, because human services really reach out. I mean, they get a lot of the calls, especially for water, from seniors. I
Right.
know firsthand.
Yeah.
Okay,
I can tell you the system is way easier to get into now than it used to be. A much harder process to get qualified, and now, especially United Way, has really streamlined it, so it's very, very efficient at getting people on board.
okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cavell.
Yeah, I just wanted to go back to when I started talking about all the little data points, but to try and drill down, since Commissioner Nash pointed out the, like 230 folks that got help in a county of 800,000 in Macomb, just to frame out those numbers for for context is, again, using the United Way Alice report, there are over 500,000 households in Oakland County. Of those, 150,000 are renters. And of those 508,000, 44,000 households are senior head of households, so 65 and up, that can't afford a $400 emergency. And 146,000 households, or about 30% of Oakland County residents, cannot afford a $400 emergency. So again, when Commissioner Nash says Macomb County was able to find 230 households that needed help in a county of 800,000, numbers are similar here, and the need is arguably greater.
Thank you for that. I'll give one little legislative tool for all of us, and I'm sorry if I'm teaching you all things that you already know. But when I go to do research on a bill like this, I really love the how bipartisan, well, nonpartisan really, the fiscal agency analyses of these online. So legislature.mi.gov, your favorite website for this kind of thing, legislature.mi.gov. Plug in the bill number, and then if you scroll down, you can see a PDF of the bills themselves and fiscal analysis from the nonpartisan fiscal agency. So I really like to go through those as my homework. There's a motion on the table. And clerk, could you please prompt the vote? That's that.
I didn't get it, but okay.
Taylor,
Yes.
you have 6 yeas, 2 nays.
Woodward?
There are 8 of us. Wait, yeah, 1, 2, 3,
8.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, good, cool. Thank you. And thank you all very much.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Moving right along then, I would entertain a motion to recommend and forward to finance, item 9B. HR 2024 supplemental collective bargaining agreement for employees represented by the UAW Local 889, representing Board of Commissioner Supervisory Employees. Moved by Commissioner Lubes, seconded by Commissioner Taylor. Hi, folks.
Good morning. My name is Rosie Wood, Supervisor of Employee and Labor Relations. I'm here on behalf of Dan Klempner. And with me is Melissa Clark, our newest member of the team, and Julie Fisher, who I'm sure you all know. So we are requesting to approve a supplemental agreement with the UAW, which covers the Board of Commissioners Supervisors, 3 full-time employees. And it would be for the period of February 7th, 2024 through September 30th, 2024. And within the supplement, it would also include the opportunity for the employees to utilize the 410s schedule if approved by their manager. This has been ratified, and there is no financial impact, and we support this supplement.
Awesome, thank you.
Any questions?
Oh, you do? All right. I was wondering if that was a holdover, but it's not. Go for it, Mr. Commissioner Spitz.
So what else in this supplemental, other than the 4-day work week, is changed? Or is that the only thing?
That is the only thing.
Where else in the county do we have a 4-day work week?
Within all the supplements within UAW is the offer for the 410s. And in addition to that, I do believe WRC has that offer. I believe FMNO does as
So we've
well.
already approved other 4-day work weeks within the county?
But I think
Yes.
it's a matter of
The
policy for the
majority, yeah.
non-represented.
I would say my mom in the health division has been on a 4-day work week for at least 7 years. fun fact, my mom works here.
Good to know. Was not aware of that.
Question? Motion on the table is to recommend to finance. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt the vote?
It's not coming through. Okay. Luce,
Yes.
Woodward,
That I could agree with.
Yes.
If you wanna have that debate, I would be on board with that.
Johnson,
Yes.
150%.
Taylor,
Yes.
I'm just not a fan. I don't. Some groups I can understand.
you have 7 yeas and 1 nay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you all. Thanks for coming around for just the 2 minutes.
Thank you.
Oh, gosh. Next is the item 9C. Sorry, gosh, my English today. Item 9C, I would entertain motion to report, well, actually, no, we don't do that. Sorry. We've been practicing on how exactly to do this since the last one. Okay, so we're doing building authority appointments. Nominations are now in order for the citizen appointment to the building authority.
Do we have a motion already? Did you open it?
No, so all right, so I was rereading Roberts with Pam, and I know I talked to Commissioner Nelson about this too. Nominations are entertained here. They don't need seconds, although Roberts specifically says that seconds often happen as a matter of verbal endorsement, but they are not necessary, so that's a fun fact. And then nominations happen at the table. Anyway, yes. All right, so I'm just going, sorry, we were really trying to do this in a nice way. They're now in order. Okay, we had 5 applicants in, and oh my God, am I doing this right?
Yeah,
I think I did
there's,
this right.
this has been postponed for a couple meetings.
Right.
We received 5 applications. We took interviews back in November 28th, there was interviews.
Yep.
Christine Flajar was unavailable. Meanwhile, we did receive an additional application from Tony Sievert.
Yep.
And that is also included.
Do I take nominal nominations right now all together, like 3 nominations at the same time?
Yeah, you can put the nominations on the table and then you can have the motion for the candidate to recommend to the full board.
Okay, so I would entertain nominations. Commissioner Woodward.
I will make a motion to nominate Mr. Tony Sievert, who has the support of Eric McPherson, the chair of the building authority.
That is on the table. Are there any other nominations? Commissioner Spiz.
I make a motion to nominate Melinda Fernandez.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, nominations are now closed. And I will take I guess, could we, yeah, is there any discussion on that? Commissioner Nelson?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So just as things are a little fuzzy, right? I know this has been an ongoing saga now for the past couple months. Eric McPherson, Chair. So when we last heard from the chair of the building authority, there were some questions that weren't answered. And I was wondering, do we have a follow-up from that? I think it's really important. I don't feel comfortable moving forward to appointing somebody when the chair was unable to answer some of those questions. So I'm hopeful that we could have the answers or at least discuss what we had previously heard, and if there's an update, more specifically is what I am inquiring about has there been an update from the chairperson of the building authority since we last met?
I'll be very honest with you, I maybe have dropped the ball. No, I don't know if I dropped the ball. I have not spoken to
Has anyone?
in the last month or so. I have not.
I know there were outstanding questions.
Yeah.
But if there are, I think I can make.
You were there.
I can, the last meeting I wasn't, where Eric was.
Eric?
I wasn't there the last meeting.
Oh,
Previous one.
Marcia was here.
So.
We did.
it was Marcia, you're right.
So-
I have a point too.
Well, I mean,
On
that's
your
a-
nominee.
I mean, I'm more than happy to, ask Mr. McPherson to come to caucus, come to the board prior to our next meeting, if that helps answer.
I think
To have those
that would be
questions
good.
answered or have something submitted in writing. I mean, I guess I don't remember, do we have the questions written or were they just verbal?
They were verbal.
They were verbal, okay.
They were verbal.
So, but staff can probably we can just pull it and write them up and.
Yeah, I feel really bad about that. I'm sorry. I guess I would have liked to have him back here right now too. That would have been helpful too.
I mean, we asked a lot of basic questions, more specifically asked about characteristics that he would like to see as, you know, another member coming onto the board. Even so much of asking questions of what really the function of this board is. I get that it hasn't been active throughout the years, but there was very little information, and knowing previously too that this has been historically an authority that really hasn't been active and has met as needed, which I do think is even more of a reason to kind of gain a better understanding of what are some of those guiding principles now as of present with the building authority.
Commissioner Nelson, do you remember what questions we asked?
So I just
I'm so sorry.
Just capitalized on that.
Foundational.
I definitely though would highlight that I would encourage someone to go back to specifically make sure that those questions are accurately accounted for. Like I said, the few questions that I do recall is taking a look at like what are the desirable characteristics of having an individual join the board, what background experiences, and then one of the bigger questions is really what is the function of the building authority and the role that they play, and as we look into the future, is this an authority that is potentially going to be more active than it has in the past, and just an overall update because it has been an inactive authority for quite some time.
Is related to Commissioner Nelson's point. I
He can
see
speak
your
first.
hand.
Yeah, them go. I can answer some of
Commissioner
those
Smith.
questions and how to get
Just,
answers.
I guess my point is, your nominee wasn't interviewed.
That is
If I'm not mistaken. So how can we even consider them if they weren't interviewed?
Well, 2 of the 5 were not interviewed, to be fair.
So,
duly noted.
I mean, I would like to have a chance to
Did
talk
they
to the
submit-
person
I'm
and
sorry,
stand
did
for
they
everybody's
submit
sake.
a resume? Is it after?
Yeah, it's
after
after
the due date.
Do we know what page?
I believe it's the last one. Commissioner Woodward.
All right, to Commissioner Nelson's, points of question. Let me start with the second one, because I think that's a bigger issue. And we can have staff pull the statute of what building authorities function are. But in general, they are the entity that is like one of the first stages in all bonding when it comes to securing bonds for building infrastructure. So local communities have building authorities, the county, and even though I don't have a complete crystal ball, our downtown Pontiac project is going to involve bonding clearly. The infrastructure for this campus, we know that there's $500 million just to fix what's on campus, not to mention the other stuff in the future that's desired and wanted, requested. So that all will go through the bonding process. It's an authority that has the ability to issue bonds, and it's done in it works, because it's an authority, it's a separate entity, it's been created by Oakland County that works with the administration and us. Those bonds have to be approved by us collectively and then goes through the appropriate process of leveraging our AAA bond rating to get the lowest rate, to secure the money to do those improvements. So first answer, yes. I would fully expect that we will see a lot more activity here, only because there's a lot of infrastructure needs happening on the immediate horizon. And Commissioner Nelson's absolutely right that we haven't really done a lot of that, frankly, in quite some time. Second, in terms of the qualities and the attributes, and I do believe that Mr. McPherson did speak to this, the importance of having someone that looks at being able to evaluate projects that come forward to make sure that they're appropriately priced, to ensure that we have skilled, qualified labor. Because when we do these things, we are not doing them for 5 years, 10 years, we're doing them for the rest of time, like we have on this campus. And we want to make sure that the craftsmanship that goes into that is done and accordingly, and it is a policy of, this county, and I know a philosophy, a majority of this board believes in the importance of prevailing wage and the appropriate wage for the skilled labor to be paid to do the jobs that are necessary. In addition to that, obviously, an ability to understand construction, the cost of construction, because that's going to, be able to give, some insight into is this enough money to fix this project? To do these projects, because they're going to, what I expect, they're going to get stacked on top of each other, and we need to make certain that they're fully funded to be able to do their job. I think so that's information I know. But in terms of immediate information, like staff and Michael's here, that we can get the building authority statute, which lays out all the powers and roles.
It's in your packet if you hit refresh.
Oh, already, just like that. God, I love technology. Okay, so the building authority statute lays out the powers of the authority, what it can do and everything. It's pretty authority standard language. And I believe that there is some county staff that has overseen other bonds. I don't believe that our sewer infrastructure, I think they go through a different thing because they tap into a different fund in the state of Michigan, so. But we can get information on the last building authority bond project and kind of where it is, and we can get that, work with the administration to get that information, so people have a little bit more insight. And again, like I said, I would just end with, I expect this entity to be used more in the coming years.
Commissioner Smith.
I'm gonna go back to my original point. This gentleman hasn't been interviewed. I'd like to at least meet the person, interview the person, since he's been nominated. I think that it's only fair to everybody out here that is being asked to vote for him or against him, he needs his day up front to tell us why he thinks he's qualified for this position, personally.
Duly noted. I will say I think a lot of what we're getting at, I think it would be nice if the board in general came before us and kind of gave us an update on their sitch, in as much as everyone else comes before us regularly. That would be nice. Commissioner Erickson, call.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask, is this time sensitive, given that this authority has not been active, but it will foreseeably be active in the future?
It's not time sensitive, but I'm getting annoyed by it continuing to be on my plate now. Because it's been on my plate since October. So no.
I don't want an additional delay, but if there's some legitimate concerns, then I personally don't have a problem with delaying it, a few more weeks, if that would satisfy the concerns.
I'm amenable, Commissioner.
Right. So, if it's acceptable to people, if Tony can earn enough support, I can assure that Tony will be at the next board meeting if you want to meet, or if it's really a conversation of wanting to meet him. And you also, I guess I'm going to call something else that the chairman clearly mentioned and endorsed. And everyone has his contact information. So if you really wanted to talk to him to kind of get a feel, you had the ability to do so. You're absolutely right.
It's not my job to chase them. He's coming here asking for a position. He needs to present himself.
I also don't think you would vote for him under any circumstance.
You might be surprised. Some of the terminology that the chair of the board, the chair they're using.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As many of you know, sitting around this table, I am a stickler for open and transparent government, especially when it comes to appointments. I hear you, Chairman. I do think it is unacceptable to bring forward an individual that did not interview, didn't even submit an application. And I don't think I'm asking for much in light of all those things, that before we move forward with making motions and advancing this, I think out of respect for the committee, and in the process of open and transparent government that we bring this individual and interview them, rather than just making this quick judgment call moving forward. I understand and I respect that the chairperson of the building authority has made this recommendation. I'm concerned that this individual's name was not brought up when we had the chairperson from the building authority here with us during the last meeting. So sounds like some things have changed or more information has been added, and I really hope that we could move forward with having more information and doing this appointment in a more transparent and open manner. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
So I'll make a motion to set aside until the next regular scheduled LAGO meeting for this individual to be here for an interview.
I feel like that's dilatory because there is already a motion on the table to proceed with nominations. And the nominations have been closed. Respectfully, I'm gonna rule it dilatory. I'm oh God. I'm very sympathetic to what you're saying, and I do absolutely want him and Eric at our next LAGO meeting because I agree. But also frankly, this has been an open vacancy now for several weeks, and our next LAGO meeting is not till February 20th, which would be almost 2 months of an open vacancy. And that annoys me as much as this. That's not good government either. So,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
couldn't they just pull their vote, the nominations back? I mean, the motion back?
they could,
And then-
but they haven't.
But I'm saying, couldn't that happen? And then, based on the fact that there was questions from the last meeting that has not been answered per Commissioner Nelson, and the addition to another application, I mean, not application, but information that came today, which we briefly looked at, do you think it would do any harm to hold it to the next meeting?
I don't, but it's up to both of them to withdraw their nominations.
They would have to do that, and if they don't, then it would,
Commissioner Julia.
I would support that, and then we could plan to close it on February 20th, interview and appoint, like
at
done,
the same
that's
time.
it.
At the same time.
So, I guess, in terms of the questions that were answered, in terms of what the, sorry.
No, go ahead.
In terms of questions that were raised, what the building authority does, has that not been answered? I think that has been answered. In terms of the qualities that Mr. McPherson talked about, I think he had spoken to that, and I think I repeated it.
It was, yeah.
Well, okay. But I see those, that information's already, it's here, so.
It would be nice to hear
Mr. Chair,
from
just if we can just vote and then see where people land.
So how do we call the vote?
I believe we just do one at a time, and then whoever's the first to a simple majority is the person. The nomination of Tony Sievert was first. Madam Clerk, would you please prompt that vote and say yes or no? Yes for, no against, obviously.
Five yeas, 3 nays.
It's a simple majority.
Yes, it is.
I don't think we do the second one then.
Nope.
No, you don't have to.
So that's that, and now I would entertain a motion. Do I really do the second one to recommend to the board then?
I think that was the
Yeah,
recommendation.
we'll see it, John.
No,
That was the recommendation.
That is that, okay, that's that, okay, cool.
Yep.
On that note though, let's absolutely have both Tony and Eric at our next meeting. And anyone else who's on the board too, I don't care, but yes. Thank you all.
This is funny.
Moving on then to item 9D, Board of Commissioners, OCHN appointment. Do you like how I put these appointments back to back? I want to say thank you to Dana Lasseby for being on Zoom the entire time, because I do think that it's important to have our executive officers on, because I have really liked that we've been able to ask Chris Ward about parks. I do like that we asked Eric a few questions, and we'll have him back for a few more. Dana, if you're still there, I would love to chat with you about the appointment to OCHN. Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Lubes is talking about Commissioner Spitz.
Before she starts though, how many spots are we looking to appoint today? All?
Oh, spots is what you asked. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Here I am. Good morning.
Good morning.
Three.
Just three?
Thank you for inviting me. Yes, I multitask. So I was listening in, but thank you for having me this morning.
You are correct. There are 4 spots, so this is the time to make a nomination.
So no, this is the very beginning of the process where we can discuss if we want to open it up for advertisement or reappointment, all like very beginning of the process. But I wanted to have Dana up front. Anyone have any questions for Dana, or?
I don't.
She's been waiting for 1.5 hours, you guys. Dana, I guess just like on my part, and then I see Commissioner Lubes. Do you, could you tell us a little bit about your relationship with the board? Are there things that you're looking to change, or skill sets you would like to acquire? Pardon me?
Absolutely. Just so that board members are aware, Oakland Community Health Network is the public community mental health system. Can you all hear me?
Yes, you're good.
Okay, great. We're the public community mental health system. We're the safety net for the county, and as it relates to providing and ensuring services are available for individuals with mental health challenges, intellectual developmental disabilities, as well as substance use disorder. So the board's role is huge. The board is the reporting body that I'm responsible for reporting to, and they are responsible for holding me accountable to ensure that I'm doing everything within my power and my responsibility and duties to ensure that that safety net exists, that it's effective, and more than just effective, that we're getting good outcomes for people who are primarily on Medicaid or uninsured. The challenge we're having right now is critical in that we have a lot of individuals who are going through what is called a redetermination process. So many people are losing their coverage, their Medicaid coverage. So that's a challenge. So the board members we currently have, I have to say, are amazing. And I thank you, this board, this committee, because your appointments in the last few years have been excellent fits. Excellent in that the 4 people who are seeking to be reappointed, I have no qualms or no hang-ups about any of them being reappointed. They've been active, they've been dedicated, committed individuals who really care about this community and the people we serve. So, I've been doing this a long time. To have a board makeup that we have now is quite amazing. And so I thank you for that, because we're able to get through some challenges, but we're also able to get some good programs and things going out there for people we serve, even through a pandemic, even through a tragedy in Oxford. We're still working strong together and able to make sure that services are continuing, even when we have a challenging workforce. So that's all I have. I'm very open to any questions you may have, but the board appointments are critical. That is really the body that I'm responsible for reporting to.
Thank you very much.
I would like to point out that one of the applicants is Sarah Guadalupe, who has been on the board and took an active role and indeed a leadership role on the OCHN board. She resigned because her mother became ill. Her mother was in Florida, moved to Florida to take care of her mother. Her mother unfortunately died. She's back in Michigan and greatly interested in returning to the OCHN board. So I do see applications from Dennis Cowan, Adam Furman, and Sarah. So Dana, do you know if Dr. Dr. Giles is interested in returning or
She is absolutely interested in returning, and we actually got an email from her this week, or last week, I should say, stating that she did not receive an application to reapply, but she very much is interested in remaining on the board.
Thank you, thank you. And I also know her personally, and she's an amazing psychiatrist who's busy, but a wealth of knowledge and just the caring she exhibits to others is another great addition.
So maybe then relatedly, because we have 5 people who are interested in 4 spots, did we want to just ask all 5 of them for an interview, or Commissioner?
I was gonna make a motion just to reappoint the 4 since they're all interested. Dana's mentioned that they're all working well. Yes, I'm glad to see Sarah's back. I'm fortunate for their mother, but unfortunately to me, I have 4 good members that are sitting on there that are open for reappointment. Dana says that they're doing well, doing a great job, so why would I change that and make them right now? That's my position. So I would make that motion to reappoint the 4 today.
I support that.
Do you all want to do this right now?
Ready to rock and roll. Let's go.
Let's do it. Is that a motion?
That's a motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Lewis.
I would like to say.
Oh, sure, go ahead.
So I agree with that. A board functioning appropriately and efficiently is the board to have. So I would like everybody to keep in mind for another appointment or a resignation, then keep in mind Sarah's resignation.
We need a second on the motion. Seconded by, I'm gonna do Commissioner Lewis on that one, sorry. Would you prompt the vote then on the reappointment of Dennis Cowan, Dr. Yolanda Giles, Adam Furman, and Dr. Vijaya Hans to the OCHN? Please.
A comment too on, Mr. Cowan is currently general public, but he's applied for a secondary consumer, so I just wanted that.
Oh, it's a different fulfillment of.
Different seat.
Okay.
It's fine.
Does that open up a general public?
Not really, we still have quite a few general publics.
Not until March of next year.
Good note, though, thank you.
Woodward?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
There's 7 days for 0 days.
What productive work. Thank you all. That wasn't even gonna come up until March, so there we go. Thank you very much. And Dana, you nothing to worry about. No vacancies happening at OCHN. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you, Dana.
Bye.
You can report back to the
Can I
outcome.
add one more comment? I'm sorry, may I please say one more thing?
Yeah, of course.
I would absolutely love to have Dr. Guadalupe back, and this is a unique problem to have. So any openings that we have, if there's an opportunity for her to rejoin us, she was a very valuable member of our board. And we do have openings on our SUD policy oversight board. So if that's also an option, I just wanted to throw that out there. Again, thank you so much for including me in this process. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that would, so I'll bring it up there if she's interested. Okay.
Awesome. With that, our regular agenda's been concluded. Anyone from the public wishing to address us on anything at all? Anyone do anything fun this weekend? Any other announcements, bold action? I watched the Lions and I sat in my car in the parking lot for a half hour.
After?
Yep.
Oh, I was so mad.
Yeah.
I was so mad.
But they did best they've ever done in my life, so good for them.
Next year.
Anything else?
One field goal is all I asked. Just
This meeting's adjourned at 10:39.
all I asked is just one.
It's a good thing you didn't
Some would
cancel.
argue that